Welcome back, everybody. Today we are going to focus on some more Latin roots in our lesson, and we're going to talk about our Chamaeleon prefixes again. We're also going to talk about the doubling rule and the adding on suffixes. We're going to also help you identify your double letters and why those letters are doubled. We're also going to talk about schwa again in this lesson. All right, so let's go ahead and get started. The Chamaeleon prefix, con, is the main one because con is the one that is on most of your Latin roots. The rest are only go on certain roots. So con, com, cor, and col. It means with or together. Now remember, con goes on most of the Latin roots. Com goes on what? Do you guys remember? B's, M's, and P's. You're right. So cor goes on roots that start with an R, and col goes on roots that what? Start with L's. Okay, so if you guys can remember that, it means with or together. So now we have our roots with our definitions. So I know we're putting out a lot of roots out there, and it's hard to remember the definitions to all of your roots, but I challenge you to at least memorize, really get your Latin roots down, the spelling down, and just being able to identify them. Even if you can't always remember what they are, you will be able to spell so much better if you can identify them. Not only will you be able to spell, you'll be able to read better if you can identify them in a word. Now, if you can remember your definitions, then you'll be able to actually have your vocabulary will be expounded a lot more. So let's go ahead and go through the roots. So we have the roots are over here, and the definitions. We have mort means death, tract, pole, and I am taking a couple that I've already featured because I feel they're so important for you to remember. And so I'm featuring them a couple of times. Sept, taken, seize, tempo, time, volve, roll, turn, jest, to wage, to carry, act, to do, null, having no legal or binding force. And oftentimes you'll find this in the law. Yes, sweetheart?
Isn't jest also guest?
No.
Oh yeah, isn't that?
That actually, with guest, I can see why you're saying that, but that's a GU. So that's why it's really important for you to say, oh, this jest right here is a Latin root, because you might think it could be guess, but it's not, okay? Because guess is G-U-E-S-T. I really want you guys to remember that null is lots of words to do with the law, okay? If you can remember that, it will help you with this Latin root, okay? Having no legal or binding force with the law. Okay, if we go over here to the root and the definition, we have an and n, which means year and yearly. And so when you see an and n, and it's especially connected to a number, a Latin number, then you know that this will probably be year, because we can have some confusables with these. So these are typically connected with numbers, Latin numbers. So let's look at this. Biennium, a specified period of 2 years. Look at this. Bi means 2. ENN means years, 2 years. So, but this can be a little bit confusing, because if we have biennium, biennial, so it's you have your specified period of 2 years, you have your event, and then you have 2 years. But if you have biennium or biennial, then you have bi, and then annual. It means 2 events happening within the year, the 1 year. So your words can be a little bit different when you an or n. But it's really important to understand that year typically sits in with a number. Now, decennial consists or lasting of 10 years. That's the number 10, and that is meaning year. Interannual, between or involving 2 or more years. Now, inter means between. Centennial, day or year that is 100 years after a particular event. So we're going to have a centennial celebration. What is your number in this word? Cent.
100.
Cent means 100, right? And then here's your year. Millennia, where's your number in that word? 1,000.
I was gonna say.
And what mil is your number, right? A period of 1,000 years, especially connected to the birth of Christ. So that's how we started counting our calendar, or our years, is from the birth of Christ. We have millennial, that means 1,000 years, so 1,000, and we have years. But oftentimes you hear, especially in the United States and in Canada, you'll hear that, oh, they're a millennial baby, because when they came of age, they hit their 20s. In their 20s, they became of age in the 2000s. So it's between the 1980s to the late 1900s. So, but you'll mostly hear that in the US and Canada. So triennial, what's your number in here? 3 years, occurring every 3rd year. Perennial, living 3 or more years. So you hear, I bought a perennial plant. So it can last year after year after year, and it gets bigger and beautiful. I did that actually in my garden this year. I bought lots of perennials because we put in a yard this year, and I can't wait to see what they're going to do next year. I put in lots of echinacea, which I think are so beautiful. There's big, beautiful cone flowers and some rudbeckia. But anyways, now we have septennial, occurring every 7 years. Sept means 7. Multi-millennial.
I don't know what multi.
Well, let's break it apart. Multi means many. Mil means, what does mil mean?
Mil means 1,000.
1,000, and N means years.
So many 1,000 years.
Relating to or encompassing several millennia, which millennia is 1,000 years. So there's several of them. So multi means many. So multi would have more than 2. So multi is the superlative, and so you're going to have it encompassing several. So not like 1 or 2, but more than that of the millennia. Does that make sense? Now we have annuities, a word that is in the year. This means year in this word. And this is a product that you can purchase at the bank, and you can buy an annuity, which once it becomes due, then you can take it out, your interest, every year. So that's what that means. Every year you are allowed to take something out, whatever your product was that you decided to purchase. Yeah, honey. So now we have enunciate. This, on the other hand, right here, is not standing for year. You have a prefix right here that means to order, to send, to announce. That's what this word means. And so here's some other examples where it can be really confusing, where you think you might have your Latin root year, but you don't. What do we have right there? Is that a Latin root? It's not. What is it?
Isn't ness?
Well, you have an N here for man and an N here for ness.
Oh.
That's the reason why that's doubled. So because the end word ends in an N and the ness starts with an N. So you don't drop the N because of that. But does that make sense though?
Yeah.
So we have, the AN goes to human, and then we have this N, ness, goes to ness. So you have part of the base word and you have part of the suffix that looks like it could be your Latin root when it's not. So we have annex. That is your prefix and, to order, to send. Or we have swanning. What about this one? Here's your ANN here. But is this your Latin root that means year?
No.
It's not. You have the AN right here, and then because you're adding on a vowel suffix, you're doubling it. Do you see that? Same with right here. This looks like it could be your root, AN.
Chamaeleon prefix.
But this is a Chamaeleon prefix that has another root to it. So if you have a Chamaeleon prefix and then you could tell it's connected to another root and it doesn't have a number in front of it, then you probably have something like that means to order, to send, and it has another meaning for the root, like announce. See, this is a prefix that means to order, to send. Announce, this is another Latin root, nounce. Disannulling, how about right here, Polly? Disannulling. Where is this with your year? No. See, it looks like it could be.
Because doesn't it have to have like a number in front of it?
Yeah, so if you're not really seeing a number, then you better be maybe thinking, yeah, I know we do have them, but you better be thinking, this could be something else than year. So, but this one right here, we have a Chamaeleon prefix, we have another Latin root. So that's what is making this ANN. So if we go up to here, which we have this word in here, we have the Latin root null, having no legal or binding force with the law. All right? So annul means we have our Latin prefix and we have our Chamaeleon, to order, to send. So you have no legal binding with the law that we're going to send. We're going towards that. No legal binding to send you. All right? But here we have this. This looks like it could be a Latin root, but is it, Doug? I mean, Paul? It's not. So you'll have words like this that you'll have gran is actually means grain, and it's granule. So if you have like null or if you have a silent E, just this will typically have a prefix, a Chamaeleon prefix in front of it to help you find that. This looks like it could be the Latin root, but this actually is your root right here, this whole root. It's a completely different meaning. And granulomatous. So this is long. And it looks like you could have this, but it's not. So if you don't have one of these Chamaeleon prefixes, it probably won't be. I'm sure there's exceptions to the rule. But then we also have nulled. You have no legal law or force binding in the past tense. How about annulled? Going to send, we're going towards. Annulled actually means that you're having your marriage dissolved. It's no longer binding. We're sending you somewhere to no longer have a binding force with the law. Does that make sense? So when you say, well, we had our marriage annulled, there's no legal binding. You went somewhere to not have it a legal binding anymore. And then this is your past tense ed. Okay? This is your past tense participle. Disannulled,
Yes.
what do you think that means?
Something to do with law.
So you have no legal binding anymore. It's no longer, it's just dissolved. Dis means apart or not. This disannulled, it's just like come apart. Your marriage is no longer there. So disannulling, so we have our suffix added on, annuller, cannula. See, this one is not one, but this one is, because you have a Chamaeleon prefix on that. Okay, so now we have tempo, which means time, and this typically goes with music, where you have, what does that mean, Daniel, when you think of music with tempo?
Like a timing.
Little gadgets that it will give you the time that you should be playing the music to the right rhythm. And so we have temporizing, temporize, and temporary, which I thought temporary was kind of fun. So look, we have tempo. This will help you spell this word. Temporary, because this turns to schwa in this word. But you have the tempo. So what does tempo mean again, boys?
Time.
So if it means time, you have a limited amount of time to have like a temporary job. Your job is temporary. That means your time is limited. So if you can remember how to spell tempo, you can remember that schwa sound right here will not, you don't have to go, oh, is it an A or an O? You don't even have to guess, because you have tempo and you have your Latin root that will help you with that. We have tract, which means what?
To pull.
To pull. So con means to, with or together. Contracts. If you think about a contract, you're pulling with somebody together, two people or whatever, and making it, and you're combining it. Signing a contract, multiples, it doesn't just have to be two. Intertractability. Contract. So now see how we have our plural S here, and we have no S. So this is one contract, this is multiple contracts, more than one. So extractive. So you guys remember what X means? So tract means to pull, and X means out of. So you're extracting, we're gonna pull our maple water out of our trees, we're gonna extract it to get maple syrup. Does that make sense? You're pulling something out. Distractingly. Dis means not, you're not pulling. Or what else could dis mean? Apart. You're pulling apart somebody. When you're distracting somebody from doing something, you're pulling them away. Okay? Distract, tracks, protractor, retracts, extracts, attract. This is one we've already done before, but I thought it was super important. Contractility, distractions. Those are examples of the Latin root tract. What does tract mean again?
To pull.
Nice. So I loved this one that would really help you understand things. So we have mort. What does mort mean? Mort means death.
Oh.
So if you can remember this, you're going to be able to spell some hard words. Mort means death. So we have the morgue. And the T is actually dropped in this word. What's the morgue?
Like.
No, a morgue is where somebody goes after they have died. Make sense? We took Grandpa to the morgue, which then the mortician took care of him. Mort means he's working on somebody that has died. So then we have a mortician. Do you see that? Post-mortem. Post means after, right? So post-mortem, after death. So mortuary. So mortuary is where we took Grandpa. So another word. Now we have immortal, where we have it means not dead. Exactly. You're never dead. You're not dead. Immortality. So you will be alive forever.
Mm-hmm. So immortality and immortal is the exact same thing.
Right. So yeah, except it has a suffix that kind of changes it up a little bit, right? So we have mortified. I was like disgusted to death about what you just did. How about immoralize? You're going to immoralize them, somebody that has passed away, or you're putting them up on a pedestal to remember them. You're not just putting it on their gravestone, you're actually putting them on a memory. Immortalize. So now look at this one. IZE for America, and ISE, this is the British spelling. This is a suffix. We save our I's for suffixes. Our ISE will most likely be in your base word, but IZE we save for suffixes. So now we have one who borrows money against their own property is called a mortgager. So a person who mortgages their property. So I thought this was actually super interesting. So when you mortgage your property, you feel dead. There's death that comes to being in debt. And so that's why it's called mort. Isn't that interesting? So listen to this, mortgager. Look at this, mortgager. So many people misspell this word. But if you can think about mort as in, that's death, and you can relate that to your Latin root, so this T falls off, mortgager. You can't hear it, but it's there because you have your Latin root. Now this one is unusual. So you do have sometimes where the T drops off, but not for this word. Amortize, this is when they give you a list of all your payments over the next how many years you mortgaged your own property. And so you get to see the death that it is making you feel. You feel that weight of, oh my gosh, I have to pay this off or I will not feel free again. You feel the death of a mortgage. Mortgage. See how this T falls off? But you know it's there because you have your Latin root that means death. Okay, so sept means what? Taken, seized. So what does sept mean, boys?
Taken and seized.
Taken and seized. You have precepts. You're taken until proven guilty. There's a warrant for your arrest. You have rights that are read out to you. So look at the word sept, taken. What does pre mean? Before. So precepts, these rights, your warrant is written before you are, where is it? Taken. All right? So your precepts. Does that make sense? Yeah, honey.
So,
before. So this pre means before. things have to happen before you are taken. Does that make sense? So that'll help you understand this. This word is in government all the time. But it's also in other words. But so I thought was super interesting. The meaning of a predicate, concepts. So what do we have? Steps is taken. Con means with or together. So you're understanding the meaning of a predicate. What's the predicate? It's your verb and everything that goes with it.
I remember now.
So your concepts.
Like your direct object?
Yeah, your predicate is taking with or together. Everything is together in your predicate. So that's another meaning for predicate, are your concepts for you understanding your predicate. Now we have accepting, accepted. These are huge confusables. So now if we look at sept, what does X mean? Out of or from. So this means out of. Sept means taken or seized. So if you think, I enjoyed the movie except, so you're taking this out. You're taking it out, except for this. That'll help you see which one should I use. Should I use accept or accept? You're taking it out. You're not allowing it in. But if this one, what does the AC mean?
It means like
to, toward, or to send.
Like
It fits in this one right here. Accepting, sept means taking, and they're bringing it towards you. I accept your offer. See the difference? Here you're taking it out of the way, and here you're bringing it in because you're understanding your Latin roots. So we have apperceptions, deceptive, exception. So if you're understanding this, you're going to understand the rest of the words that go with it. Acceptance, intercept. So inter means between. It's a prefix. Between, being taken. You're intercepting that. Accepts, not taken. Inceptor, receptive, accepting, right? You're taking it out. Misperception. So let's just quickly go over some of our chameleons and our double letters together. Okay? So we have contracts. Con means with or together. So you put it on and it helps you understand. In means not or into. Right. So it's helping you understand tracks, contract. X means
into or from.
See how you're just adding them on to your Latin root. You don't have to have a spelling rule to add on your prefix. Now remember, your chameleon prefixes are also Latin with a certain name. Do you guys remember what dis means? Not or apart. So you just add it on. Dis, add it on. Pro, add it on. Re means again. So, but look at this one. We have AT, and the T goes with the T. The reason why this is doubled right here is because you have a Latin root and you have a chameleon prefix. So you keep both of those T's. When you have a chameleon prefix and you have a Latin root, then you keep them, each one. So one goes with the root, one goes with the prefix. So chameleon prefix, add it on. Chameleon prefix, add it on. So this is not a chameleon, but it is a prefix. But look at this one. We have IM, which means what? Not or into.
Yeah.
Right? But one are the only times we can use IM. B's, M's, and P's. B's, M's, and P's. So look, this is an M. So you are, one M is for the prefix and one is for your Latin root. That's why this is doubled. But we don't even have to guess, is it immortal or is it immortal? We know it's immortal because this is an M. Same thing here. You're adding it on. Also here, immortalize. These are the reason why this is doubled. This is a Chamaeleon prefix and this is your Latin root. Chamaeleon prefix, Latin root. Look at this prefix. Con means what? With or together. Now remember, we're doing this over because repetition helps you remember. Con means with or together. Look, then we have X, which means what?
Out of or from.
Nice, out of or from. Thanks, Dan. AC means what? To, toward, or to send. I have it right here on the board. That falls in that section.
Okay.
Oh,
Okay? I just put the one up that helps you to remember. The AN section. Okay? So, AP falls in this AN section. What does it mean? To, toward, or to send. Okay? But look, there's two C's here because you have one for the root and one for the prefix. Why do we have two here?
one for the root and one for the prefix.
Now this one though, right here, you have two prefixes. But does it matter?
No.
If it's a prefix added onto a prefix, it doesn't matter. One goes to the prefix and this one goes to the prefix. You just add them on. Same thing here, one goes to the prefix and one to the root. This is your Chamaeleon prefix, Chamaeleon prefix. One is for the prefix and one's for the root. That's why it's so important for you to at least identify what your roots look like, and you can, as soon as you see a PT, you know that this is a root and a CT. But you could still help you identify what they are if you can, you will help your spelling so much if you just know this. Let's see, we have inter, which means between, and that is not a Chamaeleon prefix, but it does mean between. It is a prefix. Dis means what, boys? Apart or not.
Mm-hmm.
In means not or into.
Not. Or
Receptive. What does this mean?
like refill.
Again. Again, yep. And then we have this prefix. And look, we have two prefixes here. Miss me. Wrong. This one would be a little bit different. Why is this doubled? Because that's how you spell the root.
That's how you spell the word.
This is how you spell the root, you guys. So learn how to spell your roots. Have them down as spelling words. So why is this doubled?
Because that's what the root is.
Yeah, because that's what the root is. Why is this doubled, Paul?
Because that's what the root is.
That is what the root is. You need to know how to spell your roots. So spell them. Learn how to spell your roots. So you can spell these in words. So then you know, well, why is this doubled? It's because this is doubled. This is your actual root. Why is this doubled, Daniel?
Because that's how you spell the root.
Exactly. Why is that doubled? Paul?
Because that's how you spell the root.
Why is this doubled, Dan?
Because that's how you spell the root.
Why is this doubled?
Because that's how you spell the root.
Well, why is this doubled?
Because that's how you spell the root.
That is how you spell that number. M-I-L-L is how you spell 1,000 in Latin. So this is double the spelling rule. If you have one vowel, it's followed by an F, L, S, or Z. This one doesn't follow that. You just need to know that this is doubled because that's how it's spelt. And so this is doubled because of why?
Because that's how it's spelled.
Exactly. Why? Paul, why is this doubled?
Because that's how it's spelled.
All right. Why is this doubled?
And that's how it's spelled.
Because that is how the root is spelt. Why is this doubled?
Because that's how that number is spelled.
That is how the number is actually spelled, and it does follow the spelling rule. How come this is doubled?
Because that's how you spell the root.
Oh, occurring. We have one for the root and one for your chameleon prefix. Same thing here. One's for the root and one's for your chameleon. Right here. Why is this doubled?
And because one's for the root and no.
Yeah, they're both. This is how you spell the root.
That's how it's spelled.
The number. So you're just going to need to remember that ENN means year, and it's spelt that way. This one at least has a spelling rule. Nope.
No.
This is how we spell Knoll.
Okay, well.
You need to remember, this is what's going to help you so much with your spelling. If you can remember, this is a Latin root. Okay, so this one is doubled because we have our Latin root, which here you know how to spell your Latin root because you've practiced, and it's spelled N-U-L. Now, we know our Latin roots are almost always the accented syllable. And so this says Schwa because this is the accented syllable, and then this is double because you know the accented syllable is always follows the spelling rule. And if it's sitting at the end and it's the accented syllable, it's your Latin root, you need to double it. You always double on your accented syllable, and your Latin root is almost always the accented syllable. And so that is the reason why this is doubled. You double it before you add on your vowel suffix. Okay? Annulling. Same thing here. You have your Latin root. It is the accented syllable. You have to double it or before you add on your vowel suffix. That's why it's so important to understand your Latin roots. They are your accented syllable most of the time. And then you'll be able to understand your doubling. Now, this one, on the other hand, this is doubled because man ends with an N and nest starts with an N. So you keep both ends. This is doubled because one's for the prefix and one is for the root. This is doubled because you have a base word. So the base word is swan, and you double this because you have a consonant vowel consonant before you're adding on your vowel suffix. This is the doubling rule. This, though, on the other hand, is you have a prefix with a root, a prefix with a root, a prefix with a root. This is the doubling rule. You have a Latin root. And it's so much harder to double on multisyllable words because lots and lots of multisyllable words do not follow the doubling rule because you don't double on the unaccented syllable. So let's just go through here with your schwa. This is a closed A in the unaccented syllable, so it turns to schwa. Closed A in the unaccented syllable, so it turns to schwa here. Same thing here. This is a closed A in the unaccented syllable, so it's turning to schwa. These are all closed syllables, so they're turning to the schwa sound. This right here, granule, this is the accented syllable. This is going to say it's short sound. Does that make sense, boys? Granule. Daniel, why did this turn to schwa, honey?
Which one?
Right here.
Because that's what it's supposed to do.
No.
Well, because,
Well, this is the Latin root,
Yeah, that's
so you know that's the accent. This one is not accented, so close the A's, turn to schwa.
yeah.
So you know that that's going to say
Give me another one.
Okay, how about that one? That one's easy, because I just
Close A's, turn to schwa.
close A's, turn to schwa. If they're not accented, right? Annulling, disannulling. That turn to schwa because it is closed. It's not accented. Where's our accented syllable in that word? I have it underlined.
Where?
No. This is a vowel L. It's not accented. So it says decenniol. It's not accented. So if you have vowel L's, they're not accented. So it's going to say the schwa sound. So, ol, triennial. See? But so you're going to have the schwa sound right there. So now we have odd, which stands for listen, sound, and hear. Like the word audio or audience, auditorium, audible. So I think this is also interesting right here where you have this Latin root. This must be a really old word because if you have ible, it's attached to Latin roots and it's a really old word. So inaudible, that means not able to hear or listen. This is able to hear or listen. Audition. So somebody, you're in the process of, or the state of being heard or listened. Audit, audio. So we have act, which means to do, to react, to do again. Interact, to do between things. Actress, this ESS means it's a woman. Brax, exact, transact. Trans means across, it's a prefix. Actor, this is typically a man and this is a woman. And then we have outact, act up, unacted. See how we have lots of suffixes onto this. We have prefixes and suffixes. Acting, activist, somebody. IST means a person who is doing something. Interaction, active. So you're doing something. Somebody is doing something here. Interact, which I think we had something like that. It's close to interaction. So inter means between. Action, preacted. See how you just have these suffix and prefixes. Activate. 8 means processing. So you're processing on your action. So I'm going to activate the bomb. You're going to do it. Does that make sense? Inactive. So this means, so in means not, right? Or into. In this one it would be not doing something. And this one is just doing something. So now let's go on over to jest. And it means wage or to carry. So like the words digest, digester. See how we have prefixes and see how we have a suffix right here? So when you're looking for your suffixes and whether you should be doing any of the spelling rules, remember your root is always, almost always, the accented syllable. So you have to look at that. Is it a consonant vowel consonant? If it's not, you can just add on your suffix. But if it is, you need the doubling rule and you add on your vowel suffix if it's the doubling rule. If not, if it's a CVC, but you're not adding on a vowel suffix, then you can just add it right on. See how just is not a consonant vowel consonant, so you can just add your suffixes right on to this. But if you're going to add a suffix on to a suffix, you need to make sure that you are following the spelling rule. Digested, see how this one you can just add this suffix right on to jest. And with prefixes, remember, you can add the prefix right on. Prefixes don't change as you're adding them on. That's the reason why you can have double letters. Like this one, suggest. So this G is for the root, and this G is for the Chamaeleon prefix. Digestion. See how you have your Latin root, and then you know that, see how it ends in a T? You're gonna use the T-I-O-N if you want to put the shun on top of that. Obviously, the T will go in with your unit sound, T-I-O-N, but still, you know you have a Latin root. T-I-O-Ns are always connected to the Latin root. Ingestive, add it on. This is a vowel suffix, you're just adding it on. Suggestible. Well, we have this double letter. One is for the root, and one is for the prefix. This is a Chamaeleon prefix right here. And then, since this is not a consonant vowel consonant, you just add on your ible. Go straight on with this vowel suffix. IBLE means able to, right boys? Just means to wage or to carry. And sug means below or under, which is really interesting when you have a wage or to carry right here. You're able to wage or carry something, but this is it's smaller or it's under or below. That means it's just a suggestion. It's below really what they want to say. Does that make sense? Gesturing. Now you have a unit sound with a suffix. Now gesture, it would have been T-U-R-E, and we're going to drop the E and add on your vowel suffix. But it starts right here, Jess. Now remember, if you hear chur, it's going to be a T-U. T-U-R. If you hear chur. Digestibilities, look how many suffixes you guys have on digest. Look at that, is that crazy? So remember, ible, this right here, I-B-I-L, that is able to. But remember, when you're adding I-T-Y, that I is going to come in front of the L instead of the L-E. Do you guys remember that? So you have to be careful when you're adding on this suffix, it will change this ible. And then you're changing the Y to I and adding your suffix ES. How about this word? Is this a Latin root? It's not. This is not. This says swinging est. So it's, est means the most. It's the superlative. It is swinging the most. You have a suffix here and a suffix here. So right here is not your Latin root. This is the this right here is the superlative. It means the most. Digestibility, so you have jest is your root right here, and you have two suffixes right here, able, itty, and ible. Now remember, if you're adding on itty, this is going to change the LE to an IL. Okay, that'll help your spelling to remember that. Gesture, see we have T-U-R-E. This is a unit sound, and it's a unit syllable, and it's added on. You could say either I drop the T and add this on, or it's just, you can just remember it's the T-U-R-E at the end. Congest, so jest means to wage or to carry, and you're with or together. Ingest, your plural S, you're just adding it on. Here is your Chamaeleon prefix. Progesterone, congestion, Latin root, and here is your suffix. Egest. There's your Chamaeleon prefix. Register. So now you see that this is an I, not an E. And this is still part of this root. And this does not happen very often where it's a G-I-S-T. But it does happen every now and then. So now we have gen and gene, which means born, produce, or give birth. So if you think of genetics, so generate, you're producing energy, right? Okay, this is bigeneric. Bi means two. Biogen, oxygenize, petrogenesis, genips. This is genetics. Oxygen, generous, which I thought that was kind of fun, that you get generous in you're producing goodwill. Volve, V-O-L-V. What does volve mean, guys?
Roll or return.
Okay. We have involvedly. See how we have your Latin root and you have suffixes. You have the ed and the ly. So if you have volve, you're going to have volve, but you're going to have a prefix with that. So it means what? To roll and to turn, revolve. You're revolving around, yeah. Revolver, revolvers. What is a revolver? It's a gun that has a roll, or it turns around as it puts the bullets through. And I actually have a revolver. I inherited it from Grandpa. Remember? It was actually before you two were born.
Give me a gun.
Revolution, evolved. See how we have all of these Chamaeleon prefixes on here. Convolution, involve, and they will have different meanings, especially your prefix gives it lots of different meanings. And your suffixes just like change things up a little bit. Now we have gress, which means step or move. Ingressive, egressed. So let's talk about this double S right here. Why do you have a double S in here? Your Latin root has a double S, and this follows the spelling rule. If it has one vowel and it's followed by an F, L, S, or a Z, it will be doubled. So you keep it doubled in your words as you're adding on your suffixes. So aggressive means, so gress means step or to move. And what does ag mean? Toward. So you're stepping and moving, and it's towards somebody. And you're being aggressive. You're stepping into somebody's space. Congress. What does con mean? I love this one. There's a step or to move. That's what this means. And we're together with it. And transgress, trans means across. Anti-aggression. Oh, let's talk about, anti means what? Do you guys remember? Against.
Against.
So anti means against. So we have this double G because it is the prefix and the Latin root. And this double S because it's part of the root and it's following the spelling rule.
Like spaces antioxygen.
Antioxygen. You're funny. Okay, so now we have another section, and it's the OB section. And it says ub, uck, uff, up. And this OB can go on many different roots. OC will go on roots that start with C. OF will go on roots that start with F. OP will go on roots that start with a P. And it means against or toward. So gen or gene means born, produce, or give birth. We have gress that means step or move. Mort, death. Tract, pull. Sept, taken or seize. Tempo, time. volve, roll or turn, jest, to wage or to carry, act, to do, no, having no legal or binding force, to do with the law, odd, listen, sound, or hear. And then we have an or n, which means year.
Or yearly.
Yeah, thank you, or yearly. And then also our Chamaeleon prefix, kun, come, cor, col. Now remember, these will be in the unaccented syllable most of the time. So these O's will say their schwa sound because they're not accented. Now I challenge you to at least memorize the spelling of these roots, be able to recognize them. I know it's hard to remember all of the definitions, but if you at least can memorize the spelling, you'll be able to read better and you'll be able to spell better. And maybe you can get the definitions down also. It's a little bit trickier to add the definitions to that, but also just to remember it with your years, they are attached with your numbers. So I challenge you to also study your numbers in Latin. That is it for this lesson. Okay, we're bringing the boys in. All right, bye everybody.
Bye.